Middlesex's Clydesdale Bank 40 campaign was left in tatters after Jon Lewis struck 20 runs off the last over to take Gloucestershire home to a remarkable victory in spite of 100 from Owais Shah. These are the extraordinary highlights from an extraordinary game at Cheltenham College. Middlesex won the toss and batted in front of a very good festival crowd, and the order of the day was set as John Simpson pulled Anthony Ireland for a 6 in his first over. It was the first of 14 maximums in the match. Scott Newman fell in the 5th over after nothing more than a steady start from the visitors. He pulled a short ball from Lewis but found debutant Ed Young on the boundary. Middlesex had scored only 17 runs off the first 4 overs, but Shah was soon into his stride, timing the ball well as he started to up the tempo against a team which has had the measure of Middlesex in all forms of the game this summer. He was striking both pace and spin in the form of Richard Dawson for 6s. Simpson was also looking in very good touch as the pair began to develop a very healthy partnership. Simpson was first to his 50, made off 48 balls. But Shah was even quicker, going to his off only 42. The boundaries were coming thick and fast as the pair put their side into a wonderful position with a partnership worth 148 off 22 overs. Simpson looked on for a wonderful century, but perished on 81 when he held out to William Porterfield in the deep off Ireland. It was a terrific effort from him. Shah was then joined by David Milan, and they carried the total to 182 with 12.5 overs still left. Milan went cheaply and in the unluckiest of manners as Alex Gibman deflected a straight drive from Shah back onto the stumps at the non-striker's end. And then Neil Dexter was also run out without scoring as he was a fraction slow in setting off to Shah's call. But the former England man maintained his composure, and with Gareth Berg starting his innings well, Middlesex moved into the 200s with time to spare. Shah reached a splendid 100 with a single to mid-wicket. He'd hit 10 4s and those 2 early 6s in his 85-ball ton. He swept Gibman for a 3rd maximum before he was bowled by Steve Kirby for 111, made off 92 deliveries. He fell with a score on 241 for 5 with 6 overs still remaining, and now the rest had the licence to hit out. Tom Smith struggled to do so before being bowled by Lewis for 2, and Berg went in the next over, pulling a slower ball from Kirby to James Franklin at deep square. He made 43 off 26 balls. Middlesex will have been very disappointed to lose him at that point, but Sean Udall then smashed an undefeated 33 off only 13 balls to guide his side close to 300. They just failed to get there by a single run as Toby Rowland-Jones was bowled by Dawson, but 19 came off the last over as the Panthers set a very testing 300 runs for Gloucestershire to win. And they soon looked out of it as they lost 2 wickets in the first 3 overs. Porterfield edged Tim Murty behind, and Franklin got a leading edge off the same bowler to mid-off. Already needing just less than 8 runs per over, no batsman had much time to settle, but Gidman and Hamish Marshall did their best to get Gloucestershire's innings moving in the right direction with a partnership of 27. But they were in serious trouble when Gidman skied a ball from Rowland-Jones to Udall at mid-on to go for 19. They now had a massive rebuilding job to do, and Marshall was joined by Chris Taylor as they tried to re-establish the innings. They went part of the way there as they put on 59 in 9 overs, but the required rate was by now closing in on 9 runs per over. And when Marshall dragged Smith to Newman at mid-on to depart for 44, Gloucestershire found themselves on 100 for 4, still 200 runs short of their target, with nearly half of their overs used up. But instead of folding, that wicket brought together the partnership which was to turn the match on its head, as Taylor and Steve Snell plundered an incredible 158 in 18 overs. Snell has never played this well. Using his reach to strike to leg, he was off and flying in no time, smashing 1 6 after another. It didn't matter who was bowling, he just struck the ball very, very cleanly, timing his hits to perfection. His 50 came off only 33 balls, with those 3 6s being added to by a further 3 4s. In 27 minutes, it changed the complexion of the game. And with his eye very much in, he continued to move along his merry way. Taylor's role cannot be underestimated either, as he also went to his 50 at a runner ball. But the star was Snell, and there was no stopping him. He was recently dropped from the Gloucestershire Championship side, but his reaction was hit a fourth maximum as Smith dropped the ball too short. The pair brought the runs required down to 90 off the last 10 overs, and they were still together with 5 to go, by which time a further 49 were needed for an amazing win. They were now favourites unless the Panthers could break that stand. And the 37th over appeared to have switched the game back in Middlesex's favour, as Pedro Collins had Taylor taken by Shah at square leg for a very impressive 85 off 78 deliveries. Then 2 balls later, he also bowled Snell for a quite brilliant 95, made from only 62. Gloucestershire had come too close to give up now, however, and Dawson somehow drove what looked like a good enough delivery from Murtagh over the covers for another 6. But he then yorked Young, and that seemed to be that, especially as Collins' final over, the 39th, only went for 4, meaning that 20 were now needed from the last 6 balls. Lewis managed to squeeze another Yorker for 4, meaning that 10 were required off the last 3 deliveries. Astonishingly, a pumped-up Lewis then struck the first of them over the covers for 6. Before launching the next even further into the stands, his celebration summed up his side's mood as Gloucestershire somehow won by 3 wickets with 1 ball to spare. Incredibly, 299 had not been enough, and so it was a sombre Shah who we spoke to after the match.
Yeah, I had a good day today with the bat. I've got to try and continue this form, like I said earlier, till the end of the summer.
An incredible end to this game today.
Yeah, disappointing obviously for us. I think we were poor with the ball perhaps right at the end, and also in the middle where we didn't quite mix it up. Perhaps we could have got a few more runs, but I think we still got to keep working on our skills when we're bowling at the death when the pressure's on.